Fitin10 Nation, welcome to day 46. And that means we are at the 2/3 point of this challenge, Martina.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it is pretty crazy. It goes by super, super fast. 70 days is not long, obviously, but a lot can happen in a third of the challenge. We have people in this challenge already that have lost, 10 or more pounds of fat. Okay, so again, for those of you who are not familiar with this challenge, we are measuring body fat in this challenge. Okay, or we're estimating it using bioelectrical impedance. All right, so every system that measures body fat, by the way, is just an estimate. We do it through bioelectrical impedance, and of course, people are trying to lose 30% of their fat mass. So, point here is you still got a third to go. A lot can happen in those 23 or 24 days. All right, Martina, let's get into some questions here. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm not ready for that one.
Okay, well, snacks. Yeah, I know, snacks. Snacks really tend to
irritate us.
Yeah, they irritate me a lot. All right, let's just get into it. Name something specific you can improve upon for the following week. All right, this person writes, low fat, no snacks. Record all food in MyFitnessPal. Only eat at home. Often my family grabs snacks on the road and I get sucked into it. ... Especially Costco hot dogs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, actually, this person actually doesn't live far from us. Costco's not really that far. It's not really a road snack. I've actually never had a Costco hot dog. Have you ever had one?
Good. Nope.
No. Okay. No. Oh. Maybe one day. I don't know.
I don't think so.
But probably not. Probably not. Listen, we've got to get away from snacking and think about meals. Okay. I don't really understand, and I don't know if you do, Martina. I don't understand the concept of kind of just munching on things as you go through your day. Do you understand that?
I do, because once upon a time when I didn't have my meals set up, that was basically how I ate. Like I just ate a whole bunch of things throughout the day, and then that's how I fed myself basically. So I get it, but once you have decided to have a plan, and once I've had breakfast, I'm basically good for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Then I have lunch, then I have 2, 3, 4 hours. Then I have another meal, and then another meal, and it's just like, so I no longer have time or energy or desire to snack. So now it's a little bit off the table, but I get it, yeah. If you don't have anything, pre-planned.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, again, I hate to repeat myself, but it's all about the pre-planning. And as I've said before, set yourself up with 3 to 5 meals per day. I think that's reasonable, somewhere in there.
Absolutely.
And just have everything set to go. And if you're in a rush, make a couple smoothies, okay? Or even just, a piece of fruit, maybe a powder in a cup or something, and maybe a small handful of nuts. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan of just having powder and water. So, if you are, okay.
Yeah, because I think on the go, it's actually very, very powerful.
It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, and actually this brings me to something different as well. I'm not sure if we mentioned it in this particular challenge, but when you go shopping for food, you have to absolutely 100% be fed.
Yeah, before you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than going to the grocery stores on an empty stomach. It's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, but one thing I just want to say on this actually is the fact that going through hunger or experiencing, and there's levels to hunger, but feeling a certain level of hunger, and let's face it, nobody in this challenge is, hungry. I hate to say it, is really, really, really hungry. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, really, really hungry is very low body fat, and then in a fairly high calorie deficit. That is, and then doing that for a while, that is, you're going to feel very, very hungry. When you're feeling hungry and your body's chewing through body fat, essentially, this is something that you need to experience.
And you know what? Actually, there's a very simple, often solution to these. I call it kind of basic hunger thing. It's actually a glass of water.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of trite. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. But if you drink water,
yeah,
you're going to feel less hungry. And actually, I find like right now, I'm going through a
cutting phase.
A cutting phase, essentially. I'm going through a phase right now where I'm losing body fat, and I actually find myself drinking more water just to tie me over, just as something to put in my stomach.
It works really well. And
yes.
then high fiber foods as well, right? So like if you increase the amount of fiber that you have in each of your meals, like have, often people will have, for example, eggs and let's say bread, or maybe even bread is actually a good option, but let's say potatoes and bread, potatoes and eggs and egg whites for breakfast. If you have more vegetables, then you won't be hungry for a lot longer. So because you'll be digesting that through and chewing that food, for like a little while. So there's a reason behind which having a higher fiber diet, I think, is going to make you less hungry overall in general.
Yeah, and protein, especially solid protein, is going to do this as well.
Yeah.
It just takes longer for your stomach and your intestinal tract, well, depending on the type of fiber, but anyways, we don't need to get into that. But if we think about protein and fiber, these two are going to keep you fuller longer.
Yeah.
They're going to make you, you're going to feel more satiated. So actually, I just wrote a blog. I wrote a blog. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, there's some blogs on the website. I'm trying to put up one per week at minimum, and Martina as well. So check that out on www.fitin10.com.
All right. So what was the question about low fat though?
Well, so I'm essentially, what she's saying is she's reminding herself of low fat, right? She needs to eat more things that are low fat. In this case, if you're struggling with your fat intake, and in the case of this person, I know that there are times where this person is putting in a source of just fat, like they're adding it into their meals. So if you're over your fat, which this person is, which is probably why they're mentioning they need to lower their fat, you need to cut back on that fat. But again, this tells me that there's not pre-planning happening. This tells me that they're entering it in afterwards, and then they're realizing, oh my God, I
have too much. Yeah. And I think I mentioned as well that, in this case, for example, I'm like very much a high fat diet person, but when I need to go low fat, then you just have to choose your sources of protein a little bit more in a smarter way, right? And then use, for example, a spritz for your olive oil instead of, tablespoon or teaspoons or something like that. I make my vinaigrette, for example, or dressings with water rather than with oil. Like, so water, vinegar, spices, for example. That works really well, and a sweetener that has no calories. But in terms of the fat, for example, remember egg whites versus eggs, lean chicken breast versus the rest of the chicken, fish, white fish versus salmon and stuff like that, and then you'll be a little bit more able to stay within the amount of fat that you're allocated.
Can you post that salad dressing that you made last night?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah.
And that was very, very low fat, and that was super tasty.
Yeah.
So.
And super simple, actually.
Yeah. So again, let's, to this person, as well, we shouldn't be eating hot dogs. Period. There's just like, come on. But ultimately, we need to look for those sources of food which are going to be lower in fat. Normally unless you're eating really, really low fat foods, again, white fish, egg whites, chicken breast, stuff like that, those are going to be very, very low fat. Then you may need to add in some fats. But if you're already eating a semi-fat meat, if you're eating whole eggs, these types of things, you probably won't have to add fat into your diet at all. It's just going to make up for those fat macros that you're assigned.
Yeah, I even barbecue meats without fat altogether, The second question actually ties into the first one.
Well, actually, I think we need to get to the message of the day, because it is, I'm sure it's nearing 10 minutes. So why don't we do that, Martina? Okay. We'll address the next question in our
next video.
Yeah, next video. All right. So message of the day. Martina, you want to read this one for us?
Don't call it a dream, call it a plan.
Yeah, that's right. You got to start planning. A lot of people are not planning. It's just that simple. And this is, if you're not planning, then you're just kind of winging it. Even though you are entering it in, you don't really know where you're going to land at the end of the day, unless you know your foods really well, which you will if you keep practicing what we're telling you to do.
Indeed.
But you've got a plan. Okay, it can't be any of this. All right, weight loss or fat loss or health Or let's take this to a broader sense. Being responsible for anything in your life, it's not this. It's not crossing the fingers and hoping it happens. It's about making it happen through planning and setting it out and then following it through. That's what you got to do. Right, Martine?
Absolutely.
All right. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and we will talk to you in a couple of days.